Hey guys, how are you doing? Alexandre Bonifacio, Stetson Studio. I'm here to talk about this guy here. Stetson STX 2448 floating release. Are you curious? Are you eager to know how this processor works? Accompany me and I will demonstrate it to you. Power up processor. Language screen appears with options. English, Portuguese, Spanish for selection. In our case, it will be in English. I'm going to click here. It goes to the STX 2448 floating rest screen. I'm going to click on the encoder. The audio processing message will appear, which is the audio menu. I clicked on the audio menu. It comes to the factory DSP floating. It already comes in Pro mode. So if I turn the encoder here, I already have the Pro mode and the Pro 5 mode. You can see it there, Pro 5. I'm going to go back here in the DSP float. If I click here, I can also choose to go back to standard mode. If I click here, it will call the standard mode, which is not our case. I went back to Pro. He's saved, still in Pro. And that's it. And you might be wondering what the differences are between Pro and standard mode. In Pro mode, I have the subharmonic bass and the peak limiter. If you like the graphic equalizer input, you can still find it in standard mode. Let's discuss audio inputs of the processor. STX 2448 has unique input. 440. The device is equipped with high input and RCA input. At this point, I make adjustments to the level of the input signal. If you arrive with an exaggerated signal at the input, the clip LED may light up and you adjust here until it goes out. If you enter with a saturated signal, it will come out saturated, so the signal must enter perfectly to avoid saturation. And remember, do not use both inputs simultaneously. Now I'm going to enter here. I'm going to press the encoder. In audio processing, I'm going to turn the encoder input gain. Here in the input gain, if by chance a different signal enters in A or B, I can make a fine adjustment in either of the two paths so that at the output I can have the signals perfectly delivered in any of the outputs, okay? Now I'm going to talk about a function that only exists in the Stetson floating, the subharmonic bass function. She operates on signal A plus B, generating subharmonic frequencies, making its bass much more present. You can set the maximum frequency on the supermonic bass. I'm going to enter here in audio processing. I'm going to turn the encoder. I'm going to click. Here I have on and off. On you can turn on and off and already notice some difference. Vary frequency from 40 to 120 Hz. 40 to 120 Hz range. And give gain or attenuate this signal. Remember that the subharmonic bass works on the routable signal always on A plus B. Typically for subwoofer channel. So we discuss subharmonic bass feature only in 2448 floating, developed by our engineers, a novelty in the market. Now, let's discuss the output mode. The output mode is a flexible method for you to select the resources you wish to utilize in each output. So you can select the configuration that is most suitable for your requirements for every output. In the table, verify variations of available resources in each output mode according to DSP float mode in operation at the moment. The STX 2448 float has Pro 5 mode as the factory default for the 4 independent outputs. Let's access the audio processing menu. I'll rotate the encoder until the output mode option. Here I currently have it set to Pro mode, which is the default setting from the factory. In this mode, I have a total of 5 parametric equalizers per output, with the HPF set to a maximum of 24 dB per octave, and the LPF also set to 24 dB per octave. These settings apply to each channel individually. If I click here, channel 2 I have the same configuration, channel 3 I have the same configuration, and channel 4 I have the same configuration. If I arrive, I have saved output mode 5, and I am able to modify this mode here to 6, which has already been modified. 3 parametric equalizers, 24 dB on the HPF and 36 dB on the LPF. I have the ability to change that if I want to have a mode 8 on channel 4 along with 4 parametric equalizers, a 36 dB high-pass filter, and a 12 dB low-pass filter. Additionally, I have the option to select channel 2 and choose the mode that is most suitable for me. Yes, this is the Pro mode of the STX 2448 float, 2448 float. Now I'll tell you news you've been waiting for in our processors. Now you can find it at float. It is the peak limiter. This limiter is a type of compressor that will limit the most exaggerated peaks of the audio signal, thus preserving your amplifier and speaker. However, peak limit does not affect the level or average intensity of the sound. For this reason, RMS limit is necessary. I'm going to enter here in audio processing. I will rotate the encoder until I reach the peak limiter. Keep in mind that it's a differential of our processor. Peak limiter. Remembering that here the 0 dB of 2448 is now represented by decibels below unity, dBu. So 0 dB is 11.2 dBu. Here I have the ability to decrease the amplitude in decibels below unity, dBu, where minus 12.8 represented minus 24 decibels, dB. Currently, I am able to reach a minimum temperature of minus 40 degrees, which makes it significantly easier to make adjustments to the peak limiter function. If I go in, remembering that it arrives in automatic mode without any need for manual intervention or input from me, I have the ability to disable automatic mode and make manual adjustments to the threshold, hold, and re-release settings by utilizing formulas as needed. In addition to all the news, we also added to the filters section the BCL filter. Remember STX 2496 processor we had in the past, first audio processor from Stetson? That processor contained the BCL filter, which is a linear filter with the flattest possible response, and I will demonstrate the filter. I will rotate the encoder, I will engage the crossover, I have selected the crossover, high pass filter, HPF. I will activate the filter, it is already visible. BT Butterworth filter, I will adjust it, and it will then switch to link width relay with a slope of 18 dB until it reaches the BCEL filter. And a very cool option that you could only find in STX 2848 is the channel copy, where you copy all the settings from one channel to another and so on. This feature will greatly simplify and optimize your time in the settings, and it's very easy. I'm going to click on the encoder, I'm going to rotate the menu until channel copy. The source is channel 1 and I desire the target. Channel 2, potentially channel 3 or 4. I am going to click on this, copy the channel, and it is finished. All the settings I previously made on channel 1 were automatically transferred to channel 2. This option is very important because you took your time to make these settings, and in the stereo system, you easily replicate by copying, optimizing your time. And that is it, folks. We have brought here a brief explanation of the features of the STX 2448 float. Did you enjoy it? Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, enable the bell, TikTok too. Discussing processors, discussing Stetson. Stetson represents unlimited processing power. Thanks, everyone.